Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Thursday. Today's guests, including Farhan, standing by, brought to you by Optic Foliar, the only lights-on spray with no damage and no burning to your plant leaves. Plant efficiency, nutrition, and results all combined into a single solution for all stages of growth and safe to use on flowers. Spray it, see it, believe it. That's Optic Foliar. Great to have them aboard with our show. Visit this made-in-BC company online at opticfoliar.ca. Canucks and Flames tonight at Rogers Arena as we bring in from TSN Farhan Lalji. Thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
Good. No Zoom call today.
Yeah.
The old school phone.
I know, because we're at just pulling into Canucks here, and
okay.
It's a busy day, big game, Vancouver, Calgary, excitement all over the city.
There's a lot of levels to this. One being what the Canucks are wearing tonight. Are you a fan of the flying skate jersey?
Yeah, look, it's a change-up for sure, right? It brings back some memories. But if you ask me what jerseys I like better, I certainly like their current blue jerseys better than that one. But it's a nice change-up. You know, it takes us back to 82 and 94, and it's good.
Hey, Farhan, you were front and center press conference yesterday, or press availability yesterday. You asked Brock Besser about his approach to the trade deadline. Hopefully we can run that clip later, but just to recap, what did he say?
Well, I think for him, he just wanted to make it clear that, look, I want to be here, right? And, he said it before, and he's going to say it again, and his name keeps getting mentioned. For a young player, it is surprising the amount that Besser's name has been mentioned in the last few years in trade rumors. And I'm not sure why that is. I mean, obviously in this year's situation, there's some complications around his contract, right? So does that make him movable? Does that make the club more inclined to move him? But at the same time, it also makes it more complicated for any acquiring team. You know, and I think in other years that we talk about it because there's value there, and you could potentially get a lot back for a player like Besser. But it is strange to me, right? Like the JT Miller discussion and the Tyler Mott discussions, those make a lot more sense to me given, their age and what have you. But it's always surprised me how much Besser's name has been mentioned at such a young stage in his career.
The player that doesn't get talked about a lot, but has been talked about more recently in terms of being a target for criticism and maybe moving on from the organization, Farhan, is Bo Horvat. What do you say to the people who are critics of Bo Horvat?
Well, look, I think it's fair to be critical of Bo Horvat right now, right? When a player's not playing well, I just don't think anybody should be immune from it. But in terms of big picture, I think if you want a guy like Bo Horvat gone from the organization, you think he's the problem, then I think you need to give your head a shake. I think Bo Horvat generally is the best in all of us, right? Like we all admire just the maturity this kid has shown at such a young stage in his life on so many levels, right? Because he's the type of player you want to put a C on. You go back to when they were in the bubble and all the Black Lives Matter stuff was happening, and he's the guy that went to Ryan Reeves and wanted to put a pause on the schedule and just thinking bigger, right? Like I think there's so much there, and I think he's a good hockey player, right? So the fact that he's viewed as part of the core and one of the guys you don't want to move, I think that makes some sense from a macro perspective. But from a micro perspective, I think it's fair to criticize him when he's not playing well. And since he came back off the COVID list, he hasn't played well.
Do you get the sense, you're around the team a lot more than Don and myself, but these trade rumors, this is a Canadian market. Does it get to the players? Like, I mean, obviously we can, the management has let it be known that sometimes they get a little bit ticked off Farhan with all the rumors, but is it getting to the dressing room, do you think?
It's a good question, Rick. I think it is because I think all these guys pay more attention than they ever let on. However, this notion of this media microscope market and all this stuff, I just shake my head because, Donnie, you used to be in the dressing room. What was it like then in terms of volume of coverage?
Not even close. Way worse.
Not even
or better.
Close. And if these players are that thin-skinned that this is tough on them, my goodness, right? Like the amount of media that shows up to a Canuck practice today relative to 5, 8, 10 years ago, it is nothing. And right now in COVID, we can't even get into the dressing room, right? So a player's only available once a week, right? So in terms of asking questions and the media scrutiny, like, give me a break, right? Like, yeah, we asked Brock Besser about it yesterday, but JT Miller wasn't made available. We might see JT Miller once a week, right? And if you see him in post-game, it's because he did something really well, and you're probably not asking him about trade rumors in that moment. So, you know, if they are seeing it now and it's seeping into the dressing room now, what's happening is the players are seeking out the information. Because it's the only way they're getting it, because it just isn't coming en masse, right? Like in terms of having to answer those questions on a day-to-day basis. So stop looking at your social media.
Yeah. No, you're bang on. I
No,
can go on and on about that.
Hold it a second. They're human beings, Farhan. It does affect them. There's families that could move. There's children that could go to different
Rick,
schools.
the positives outweigh the negatives.
But hold it
Why
a
do you
second,
defend
Don.
these
No,
guys?
I'm not defending them. I'm just saying, as go ask Branson and go ask Delzato and all those guys, Pouliot, at the end. Go ask them, Farhan.
And they're still in the NHL making a lot of money.
Hold it. Go ask them if looking at social media and being told how crappy you are didn't affect you mentally. Human beings like a pat on the back, Farhan, not being told all the time they're crap. I disagree with you on that.
You got to earn the pat on the back, number one. And again, if you're looking for it on social, like it's different when you're facing the media daily in a dressing room setting and you're being asked the question daily. That is not happening here. Right? Like some of these guys don't come at all during the course of the week. We haven't seen Travis Hamonic once yet since he came back, and he's been requested. And again, I'm not putting him in trade rumors. I'm just telling you that he has not had to answer those questions, and that theoretically is what used to beat them down, right? So if they are seeing it on social media, they're seeing it from fans, not necessarily media, in terms of what that criticism. Like we report on what might be out there or rumors that might be out there. If you're getting direct criticism, it's probably coming from fans. So if you are getting it in those mediums, you are seeking it out, right? As opposed to in the previous era, you'd be facing those questions daily. So even if you're not looking for it, you know it's being discussed. Now you don't know. You've got to go find it. So stop looking for it.
Yeah. You're sounding a bit like an old man, Farhan. I'm really enjoying this. It's a side of you.
Just ask me about poker, and we're just going to go.
Okay. Hey, Amar Doman is going to be on the show later on in our next hour. What are your early impressions of him as Lions owner?
So far, so good. You know, I think he's engaged. He's involved. He's local. He's invested. He is younger, so he's got a sense of other ways to promote and market and run something, right? So. I mean, look, we've talked before about how he's checked all of the boxes, right? And then eventually we're going to see, because it's going to come down to how many butts are in the seats. Like, what are you doing in terms of increasing resources to put more butts in the seats, coupled with the team winning, right? Because that's going to be the biggest thing is the team entertaining and successful, right, and fun to watch. So once we get to that point, because no matter what he does, if the team's not successful, we're not going to see it. But if the team is successful, and I think they're going to be better this year with Mason Work and some of the weapons they have offensively. I do think they're going to be better defensively as well with how they've constructed that team now. So assuming they are better, then let's see what the business side of it looks like to take advantage of what we see on the field.
Go cover the Canucks. Thanks for this, Farhan.
Take care, guys. Settle down, Rick.
Farhan Lalji.
Hey,
TSN.